Okay, welcome to our first live stream lessons. Today I'm going to focus on a higher topic which is called iteration. Now, first of all, just want to say a big thank you to Dr. Frost for allowing me to use his slides, and I'm going to crack on. So, iteration is a method of repeating something over and over again. And you're given a formula to repeat that. And sometimes these formulas can look a little bit weird, but actually they're not as hard as they look. So you'll notice that on our first slide here, it says a sequence is generated using the following term-by-term formula where x1 is the first term. So you'll notice here that it says that we have x1 is equal to 3. And this is our first term. And then it has the rule, which means that you, to generate the term-by-term rule. So in this case, it's equal to x of n plus 1 is equal to x of n plus 2. Now what this means is, it looks a little bit weird, but actually it means that here we have our next term is equal to our previous term plus 2. So this is why you'll always be given a first term, because it's telling you that we've got to use this first term to work out the next term. And what this one's saying here is, I'll repeat it again, it's saying that x of n plus 1 is equal to x of n plus 2. So your next term is equal to your previous term plus 2. So if I want to work out the next term, you go x of 2 is equal to my previous term, which in this case is equal to 3, plus 2. Which is equal to 5. So my next term, x2, is equal to 5. So then my next term, x3, so we can check that if we want. So we know that x1 there is equal to 3. We know that x2 is equal to 5. And if I want to work out the next one, x3, this is equal to 5 plus 2. So my previous term, which is 5, plus 2 from the formula, which in this case is equal to 7. We'll just check that one there. You'll notice here that it says x3 is equal to x2 plus 2, which makes sense. And x2 in this case was 5. So here we have 9. So how therefore do we interpret this? Well, it's basically just telling us to add 2 every single time. That's what this is telling us to do. Each term is the previous term plus 2. So it's not as hard as it first looks. So if I have a look now at one of the harder, this is from Edexcel Specimen Paper Set 2, and this says the number of slugs in the garden of T days from now is P, where P0, so again this is our first term, P0 is equal to 100, and it's telling us our term by term rule in this case is equal to P of T1, T plus 1 is equal to 1.06 times by P of T. So this is telling us that our next term is equal to 1.06 times by P of T. So we're going to have to sub this in. So that means that P of 1 is equal to our previous term, which is 100, times by this 1.06. Well, 1.06 times by 100, which in this case is equal to 106. So if I want to work out the next term, P2, this is equal to my previous term times by this 1.06, so 1.06 times by 106, which is my previous term. I'll have to run and get a calculator. Equal to 112.36. Now you have to bear with me, I'm going to turn the TV off. Times by 1.06. But this is asking for the number of slugs in the garden after 3 days. So this is going to be P of 3, which is equal to 1.06 times by my previous term again, which is equal to this one here. And I'll do that on the calculator. So 1.06 times by 112.36, which in this case is equal to 119.10. It doesn't tell me about any rounding, so I'm just going to do that to two decimal places. So how many slugs are actually going to be in the garden then? Because we can't have this to two decimal places, can we? So it means that because here we have 119, we can't have more than that. So it's going to be 119 slugs in the garden. So this next sequence is actually giving us two terms as a starting point. We've got here x of 1 is equal to 5 and x of 2 is equal to 2. So you'll notice that this here says x of n plus 2, which means that not my next term, but the term after that is equal to 2 times by my previous term minus the previous term before that. So this is getting a little bit more complicated now. So if I know what x1 is, which is equal to 5, I know what x2 is, which is equal to 2. I know that my next term, x3, is equal to 2 times by my previous term. Subtract the previous term before that. No, this is the next term and this is the term after that. So if I want to work out x3, it's going to be 2 times by my previous term, which in this case is equal to 2, minus 5. We'll do it on the calculator. So 2 times by 2 minus 5 is equal to minus 1. So this is x3, but actually it's asking here for x5. So here, for x4, it's going to be 2 times by my previous term, which has actually changed, it's now minus 1. Subtract the previous term before that, which in this case is equal to 2. So I'll just repeat that. X of 4 is equal to 2 times by my previous term, subtract the previous term before that, which in this case is equal to 2. So here we have 2 times by, which in this case is equal to minus 4. Again, it's asking for x of 5. So it's going to be 2 times by my previous term, subtract my previous term before that. Now, we already think about the fact that this is a negative, so if I'm subtracting a negative value, we've got to be really careful with that. So it's going to be 2 times by minus 4, subtract minus 1. I'm going to put that in a bracket. Now I could put that straight into my calculator using the mini brackets. In fact, I will do that just to show you. 2 times by 4, subtract, I've made a silly mistake there. It needs to be 2 times by minus 4. So actually negative 7. So here we've got 2 times by minus 4, which is equal to minus 8. Minus minus 1, so we're thinking about adding that, which gives us minus 7. And so there we have our answer, which is 2x minus 3 is equal to minus 7. I'm going to take a second to have a little look at that. So 2 times 2, subtract 5, is equal to the minus 1. 2 times minus 1 is minus 2. Minus 2 is minus 4. I think there might be a slight mistake on this slide. So 2 times negative 4 is minus 8, minus minus 1 is equal to minus 7. I'm going to check that one more time to make sure it's not me being silly. So this is our previous term, this is the previous term before that. So we've got 2 times by 2, which is equal to 4, minus 5 is equal to minus 1, and we've got that one there. This one here is 2 times by x3, which we know is minus 1, so that's going to be minus 4. and then I am subtracting the 2, which is we know is minus 4, so there must be a silly mistake on there. And then 2 times by minus 4, which is minus 8, minus 1 is equal to minus 7. So there is a little mistake on that slide there. Let's not worry too much about that. So this next question here is saying to solve this formula using 2 methods, the quadratic formula and also iteration. Okay, so here with this question, we're going to use the quadratic formula first. So the first thing I need to do is make sure this is in the right format for the quadratic formula. So x is equal to the square root of x plus 1. So I'm going to get rid of this square root by squaring both sides. So I end up with, if I square this side, I'm going to end up with x squared. If I square this side, that will get rid of that square root. Okay, the inverse of square rooting is to square the other side. So I end up with then x plus 1. Now to solve a quadratic